Hey, hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Amber, and today we are back with a reading vlog. She has got back from a walk. That's why you're so hot. That's why you're panting. Yeah. A little bit too late of a walk, huh? Maybe we should have done it. Oh. Aren't you cold? Anyway, so welcome back to my channel. I'm Amber, and we are back with a reading vlog. And if you can tell that I have changed spots and angles and such, it's because I finally figured out how to transfer my clips to my computer from my phone, so that I don't have to be always on my computer doing these. That being said, let's just talk about the books that I am reading this week. Two of them I'm in the middle of. I'll talk about the one that I'm not in the middle of first, because I will be starting that today or tonight, whatever. So that one is Crooked Plow by Itamar Vieira Jr. and it's translated by Johnny Lorenz, and this is a Brazilian novel, and the synopsis reads: deep in the neglected hinterland of Bahia, Brazil, two sisters find a mysterious knife beneath their grandmother's bed. Momentarily mystified by its power, they decide to taste its metal. The shattering violence that follows marks their lives and binds them together forever. Heralded as a masterpiece, this fascinating and gripping story about the lives of subsistence farmers in Brazil's poorest region, 3 generations after the abolition of slavery, is at once fantastic and realist, encompassing themes of family, spirituality, and political struggle. Okay, so when I first read this, I thought it said that it was covering 3 generations, but I think what he's saying is that it's 3 generations from past the abolition of slavery. So, but this is Brazil. I don't know the history of Brazil very well, clearly. So, anyways, this is just under 300 pages, so it shouldn't take me very long to read. But that being said, it is dealing with, I'm assuming, going to be some heavy topics dealing with like the generational trauma of racism and slavery and things like that, maybe. But yeah, I mean, the cover kind of makes you think this is going to be like lighthearted and sweet. Like, it just looks like a cover for a children's book, but I don't think that that's going to be what it is at all. But I will let you know when I get into it deeper. The first book that I'm in the middle of is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. I actually purchased an audiobook to help me get through this. But I don't know fully how to like describe the story to you, because it's very like, you have different perspectives of, like, you have Logan and Jikal and Glokta. Those are like the 3, like, I think, main characters, but you do get like other perspectives. Like, we got the perspective of Major West. So like, I was expecting that. I thought the whole book was going to be like from these 3 people, but it's not. But it is mainly them. And what I can gather is that there is possible war brewing between the North and the Union. The North has this idea that they're owed something because of what the Union did to the North. There's a person named Bateater that has started calling him, claiming to be a king of the North. I don't know if the Union knows this yet, but they definitely know that there's like something brewing, and you can clearly see this because people are trying to like scramble for power. And Glokta, who's an inquisitor, you see him like just kind of just doing his job, like going with the tide, where the tide goes, and if I happen to die, whatever, you know, like he kind of like, every time like he expects that he's gonna be like killed or something, and then it doesn't happen, he's like, oh, okay, I guess I'm to live another day. Like, it's just humorous in that way. Like, he's basically fed up with life. He could care less if he lives or not. Doesn't. And then like Logan, I like Logan also. Like, he is just very determined to fight and live and survive, and I enjoy his voice so far. But yeah, where I left off, I hadn't gotten a perspective from him at that point at the time, and he's with a magician or a wizard, but he's called a magus, and so like the pieces are not like connecting fully. Like we're not seeing like how Logan and Glodka and Jakal are going to be connected. Although I can see how Glodka and Jakal are kind of like more connected because they're like literally in the same city, in the same town, and they're both kind of dealing with the political machinations of things. But Jakal is a complete utter ass, and I could do without his perspective, even though I can see like why we're getting his perspective, because since he is of the higher class and he's part of the council, I think he's able to he's there and he hears and sees the things that are going on, even though like he doesn't seem to know or care. Like he's just a selfish prick. Anyways, I do not like him, and things are just kind of starting to like come together because what's that character? This guy, he's like the ambassador. I almost say White Eye Hansel. He's there on behalf of Bethel, trying to say that they have the claim, they're wanting to take claim of England, which I'm pretty sure is just another way to say England. Yeah. So basically, it's for my idea in the way that this author has written it. It sounds like England, the Union, is the colonizer, and Bethel is like, you colonized us. Well, we have the right to your land. So obviously there's going to be war because of that. It's going to things are going to happen, I'm sure, and we're going to see this comes together. It makes some kind of sense to me, plot wise, because I'm still feeling 130 pages and I'm still trying to figure out how these people connect, and I kind of understand the very bare minimum of certain things, but I'm just kind of just been going with it. So I'm kind of neutral on this one, but it has been this and the other book that I'm currently reading has been causing me to slow down, I think, in my reading, because this is just a lot. There's a lot going on in it. That being said, the other book is Bateater by Kylie Leah Baker, and I did go on a little bit of a rant at the end of the last video, so I'm going to try not to, just to let you know that if you're not wearing a mask, even if you believe that the pandemic is over, you're just being a selfish prick who doesn't care about your effect on an impact on other people's health. Because even if you think that the pandemic is over, we have very clear evidence that masks work and are effective, and that even if you don't care about your own health, you should care about other people's health. You should care about the physical harm that you're causing other people who are just trying to live their lives, trying to survive in this fucking world too. Anyways, so I'm just kind of sick and tired of it. It's exhausting going out, having to be forced to exist in this space, this world, knowing that every person that I see, either they're so completely ignorant and blind to the understanding, or they just don't fucking care. And it's even more infuriating seeing people who claim to be leftists, who claim to resist the government, and they're like, we need to resist the government, we need to not trust the government, blah 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 blah. Yet you chose to believe the government when they told you the pandemic was over because it was convenient for you. Because somehow wearing a mask is worse than the knowledge that by not wearing a mask, you are causing yourself to be exposed to illnesses, therefore causing others to be exposed by illnesses from you. It's infuriating. It's disgusting. And I don't have no respect for the majority of people out there, because the majority of people do not wear masks anymore. And it's just so clear that somehow you think that wearing a mask takes something from you. And I'm like, what does it take from you? What does it take from you? Nothing. You know what not wearing a mask takes from you? Your health. We love to be like, but I want to live my life. I'm like, how are you happily living your life when you're constantly getting sick? How are you having a happy life knowing that by not wearing a mask and exposing yourself, you are also exposing others? Like, how can you live comfortably with that knowledge? When you're around, just out here, willy-nilly, causing harm to others. We know that masks are effective, and also you can live your fucking life. You can go to your work, you can go to your stores, you can go to your movie theaters, you can travel and wear a mask. And also by doing that, you can enjoy it, because you know why? Because you are very less likely not to be getting sick. Every time I hear someone complain about being sick, I tune out. I have no sympathy, because we have the tools and you're choosing to not use them. And on top of that, you're causing harm to other people along the way. So, fuck y'all, you know? I don't have no sympathy. And if this is a turn off to you, I really don't give a shit. You can claim that the pandemic is over, but it doesn't change the fact that you're willing to spread your germs around to other people, because wearing a mask is more uncomfortable than that knowledge that you're doing that to other people. So, it's fucking bullshit what it is. But anyways, I've been reading Bateater, and it has been a lot. So, it's been a lot. It's been bringing up a lot of emotions. And I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about this aspect of the story, but Cora has these two aunts, one from her father's side, who's Chinese, and one from her mother's side, who's white. And they're both basically holding her hostage, so in order for her to get the money with their religion. I don't exactly know what the religion that her aunt Zhang practices, because I don't think she actually mentions it by name, but she believes in like giving offerings to the dead, and that if you don't, the spirit will become like hungry and it can cause like harm, I think. And so like she's forced to have to like listen to some things that she doesn't believe, in order to get the check from her aunt Jane. And then on the opposite side, you have her aunt Louise, who forces her to go to her church, which is a Catholic church, and do confession in order to get the check. I think that if she was not forced to need money from these two, she would never even interact with them at all. And there's a thing that happens where she ends up having to like clean the church, like clean a part of the church with like a closet, like a big like closet, like room area with like multiple, like, it's where the crypt. Sorry, the crypt. She has to like clean out the crypt. She didn't even know that there was a crypt here in the U.S. in this church. I didn't even know that was a thing in the U.S. But whatever. So he at first like says to her that she's safe with him while he's maskless. Like, and then a little bit later on, he tells her that that she's always welcome at the church, even if people complain. And then she realizes that the reason why people are complaining is because they're scared of her, because she's Asian, and therefore, she's a bigger threat to them. Even though you guys are the bigger threat, like you're not wearing a mask, and you're the one going around spreading the fucking. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm just so livid. And there's a quote that I wrote down. And it says, "She knows Father Thomas thinks of himself as a good person, that he would never turn Cora away for being Chinese. But he forgives the people who would, even though it's not his place to dole out forgiveness on Cora's behalf. He loves the people that doesn't love her." And it's interesting to see how religion is played out here, because the reality is that religion gives people an excuse to not confront their own issues, to confront their own racism in the context of what this story is talking about. And like in terms of like this priest, he's like, by like forgiving and essentially that like it gives him the excuse to not confront his own congregation for the racism and harm that they're causing to another person who's supposed to be a child of God. Like, ugh. And then like earlier on, after that scene with the guy that like spits in Cora's face, I talked about this in the previous video. So her aunt not never once like asks her how she's doing, if she's okay. Like, do you want to go to the police? You know, because he literally assaulted you, and you know you have every right to like. No, she doesn't. She basically tells people like, oh, she's okay, and then drags her away, and then she tells her that God wants us to forgive. And then like I'm just here being like, you know why you're saying this? Because you don't want to confront your own issues, your own racism, and the fact that you possibly agree with this guy. So you're using your God as a cover, as a blanket, to be like, you know, God wants us to forgive. Do you know what your God did? Fuck off. Just fuck off with this. So, it's interesting. And I'm curious because I like, Cora thinks that she's losing her mind because things are like going missing. There's like a bite mark in her table. Like things that she thought she got rid of suddenly are like back in where she took it out of, and things like that. And so like she's thinking that she might be losing her mind, and now she's slowly starting to wonder if there is an actual like ghost there, but she's still not like, she still hasn't like gotten to that point of like, maybe I should make an offering. But interestingly enough, even though like the whole we've seen like 2 crime scenes with like being bats, we haven't really gotten into that whole aspect of it at all. So I'm just not sure. I thought that was gonna be like the main point of this book. And I am like a little bit over 100 pages in, and it's hasn't really been talked much about. Like, it's like this ominous feeling like behind her, all the other things that she's kind of like going through, but it hasn't become like the forefront of everything. Like, she's finally like kind of like talked a little bit about it to her coworkers, but like it hasn't been like, you know, like we haven't really gone into that aspect of the story yet. So we'll see if it actually does get dealt with in like satisfactory. But everything about this book in general, like, it's literally a book talking about the trauma and pain that was placed upon Asian folks, specifically in the US, because of people's racist, paranoid, believing in bullshit lies. That was just like, it's just ridiculous. And I do remember, like, I remember seeing the news talking about the bat, and I just remember being like, this just feels a little too, I don't know if it's real or not. I just couldn't. There was just so much being said, and people will latch on the most stupid things, even though like they had to have like, you know, on some level, like, oh, we didn't have like proof. This was just random bullshit being thrown out because people don't care about the effects of like saying these things. Like, anyways, strongly written book overall. It's interesting that I have not heard anybody on BookTube talking about the religious aspect of this, because that's the thing that like really stood out to me the most. But so those are all the books that I will be reading, and I will update you a little bit more when I get deeper, like when I get into this book specifically, because I will let you know what my initial thoughts are. But yeah, those are the things. I am trying, for this one, I'm thinking I'm going to try to just kick this out tomorrow, because I have the audiobook of this, so I've been listening to this along with the physical. So I kind of think tomorrow I'm just going to like push my way through the rest and just get done. Because I think I'm dragging out a little bit too much for my own sanity, because it's just a lot. I gotta tell you, it is a lot. But anyways, I already know that this is going to be at least a 4.5 stars, depending on how if she actually really deals with the whole the bat's crime scene situation. If that gets really dealt with, then it'll be a 5-star. 4.5 stars for now, because I feel like at 100 pages, and this book is under 300 pages, we should be like getting a little bit further into that, in my opinion. But we shall see. Baby boy. Hi.
Commits that to memory as well. The jade is cool on her skin. Once upon a time, she liked wearing it because it matched Delilah's bracelet. She and Delilah were never the kind of sisters who wore cute matching clothes or jewelry even as kids, and she secretly loved that Auntie Zhang had tricked Delilah into it. But now, the matching set is broken. Cora's bracelet is the only one.
Hello, today is Friday and I'm back for an update. And the update is that I did not decide to actually start that book. And I also put the blade itself to the side for now because I'm just trying to finish the book. I just want to focus on this book, and I think I should have just stuck with saying reading with one book at a time. I don't know why I felt I could read multiple books at a time. I used to, but now my brain's just like, no. And this book has me gripped, so I have to focus on this. I read like 2 more hours worth of this, and I'm 208 pages into it. Oh, actually, I'm a little bit. Actually, I'm much further than that. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, so I'm actually 220 pages in because I went out and I actually continued listening to a little bit more of this, and oh my god. So we're actually getting some answers. There was actually there. I don't know if I should say this, but yeah, no, I'm not gonna say it because it probably would be considered spoilers. So what I will say is that we are starting to get like more like investigation, like not investigation because they're not really. They're getting more answers towards like what certain things. Like there's a certain person event, and they like are starting to like realize that this person who is a cop is investigating a connection between a neo-Nazi group and these murders, but oh my god. Okay, so right where I left off, they tried to feed Delilah, like, I don't know, like a food offering, basically. If you read this book, you know. And oh my god. Okay, so I actually did go and look at her backlist, like her list, and I found out that in next year she's gonna be coming out with another horror novel, so I am very much excited for that. I absolutely love this, and I will be buying this. I'm going to Barnes and Noble next Wednesday, hopefully, as long as I financially can handle all the travel, because we don't have a Barnes and Noble in this town. They got rid of it, and I'm fucking pissed. But so we have to travel ways, but to get the nearest one. So I usually just order the books, but I wanted to go to Barnes and Noble, and just look at the books. And so I'm going to be buying this book when we get there. And there's a couple of other books I want to get. Either way, this is a book I will be buying, and I can't wait for the other book, her next horror novel, because it's such a fucking brilliant and also heartbreaking and just awful. And I've already talked a lot about my issues, a lot of things. I'm not going to go back to that, but yeah, just a lot, and it's really good. So we're gonna get it. Hey guys, so I am back with an update on Bateater, which I have just finished, and okay, I don't know how to talk about it without being spoilery, so I'm not gonna say much of anything. Just know that I absolutely love this book for what it was talking about, and the way that she like writes the ending and how everything kind of like ties together at the end is brilliant. Okay, but one thing I will talk about is like it's interesting because I was seeing like these two aunts like holding her hostage with their religion in order to like get this money, but I think I don't think that her auntie Jing was actually doing that. I think it was the other one. Because I think that auntie Jing was like, because with what it was talking about at the end, it sounds like her auntie Jing was okay with her not believing, but that she was just going to like do her own part to like make sure that Delilah didn't become a hungry ghost, and like she was fine with her not believing, but I know that the other aunt did not. The yeah, just everything and what Clara ends up doing. She always thinks that she's not, able to do things, but she did it. She did what she needed to get done. But anyways, what I will say is I don't really like the narrative around the idea. Like it almost sounds like this author is like treating the vaccine like it's this magic pill that just prevents you 100% from getting COVID. And the reality is that it does not do that. Like yes, it carries a barrier and it does help, but the reality is that you can still get sick. You can still get COVID even with the vaccine, and that what it does is significantly lowers your chances of like having this more like if you by chance get COVID, the vaccine will help fight the worser symptoms and the worser effects that it could cause on you physically. And so like I think people just need to acknowledge that the vaccine is not a cure-all type of situation, and it's so frustrating because I think that's maybe partially why people stop wearing masks, is because they think that it's a cure-all. But we all know that it's not a cure-all because many of these people are still getting COVID, and we are literally on the news just shockingly enough, talking about how we're in a COVID surge now, and we wonder like it's just infuriating. It's infuriating because we have the tools and we know that these tools are effective. We can wear our mask and it's effective from lowering illnesses, not just from COVID, but from all the illnesses. We saw a significant downtick of all illnesses during the height of the pandemic when majority of people were wearing masks. Like, we know this, but because somehow people think that it is more inconvenient, that their personal comfort is more important than people's health. Somehow that is more important. And it's so frustrating because so-called leftists, so-called people who claim to care about the immune compromised, people who are fighting against the government, fighting against genocide. I'm like, I'm sorry, but like your government is willfully causing you to play a part in a genocide by you not wearing a mask. Like, people are still dying from COVID. People are still getting sick and disabled from COVID, and y'all are just choosing to ignore it because the government is like literally lying to you and hiding the proof and the evidence. It's why people are being fired in these positions of like, and, you know, and then you're wondering why these dormant viruses, these diseases that we had like cut off are suddenly starting to show back up again. It's because we have destroyed the environment to the point of bringing these back up because people have stopped wearing masks and are just letting viruses run rampant again. And y'all complain about being sick all the time while you know that you have the tool to prevent yourself from getting sick and also preventing yourself from causing other people harm, and yet you don't care. You'll whine about being sick, but you don't want to acknowledge the fact that you caused it. You're responsible for your own actions. You have the tools, and we know that they worked, and you don't care enough to wear a mask. It's so disgusting, it's so sickening, and it's infuriating. And I don't really appreciate the narrative that the author created at the end of the book with like this sudden like magic pill thing of the vaccine. I'm just like, it's not like that. And maybe that's why some people thought that it was okay to wear a mask, because they thought that the vaccine was enough. You realize that people got the flu even before before COVID, right? Like you got the flu, you would get the flu even if you had got the vaccine for the flu. Like where is your fucking logic? And also, like, people want to like be like, well, you were wearing a mask before COVID. I'm like, well, yeah, because I didn't understand that what mask did. If I knew that mask helped significantly to lower illnesses before the actual pandemic, I would have been wearing a fucking mask. You know why? Because I used to get sick like 4 times a year, specifically during like cold season and stuff. And ever since I started wearing a mask, I haven't gotten sick once. I have not had a cold. And you know what? I'm happier for that. I don't like getting sick. And wearing a mask helps me to not get sick. And I don't have to have that on my conscience, knowing that because I am allowing myself to breathe in other people's airborne nastiness, I don't have to be worried that I'm doing that myself. Like, I'm able to go out, go to work, go to stores, go to my bookstores, do all the things I want to do, and be, one, conscious free of knowing that I'm not causing harm to myself or others, and secondly, I live my life. Like, I can, like, wearing a mask does not take anything from you, but not wearing a mask takes things from you and from others, because you are willing to cause harm to yourself and to others. Like, even if we were outside of a pandemic, which I don't believe we are, wearing a mask helps lower your ability, your chances of getting sick, and 100% stops you from causing other people harm, because you're not spreading your illness to other people, or your possible illness, or just your germs in general. Like, ew. And one thing that every time I go to the grocery store, it makes me laugh, but not in a funny way, because people are like, well, wipe their carts, but yet you're not wearing a mask. So, like, you know, that it defeats the purpose of wiping the cart, because you're literally breathing in the fucking germs. Like, you're literally breathing everybody else's germs into you. Like, wiping that cart does nothing when you're literally breathing it in. Give me a fucking break. It's like you care more about how people view you than the fact that you're causing yourself physical harm, and on top of that, you're causing, and especially causing other people harm at the same time. Like, it is mind-boggling. It is mind-boggling. And I live in a very conservative town, and 99% of people do not wear a mask, and I wear a mask because, you know what? I don't give a shit what people have to say. I care more about not getting sick, and especially not causing people other harm. And if you claim to be a leftist if you claim to care, please start wearing a mask again, because you know what? It doesn't take anything from you to wear a mask. Actually, start caring, because it is an act of resistance to wear a mask. The reality is like the government cares more about putting money into their pockets, and they wanted us to get back into the grind. They wanted us to fall into that trap of believing, because they don't care if we die as long as we're giving them money. It is an act of anti-capitalism, anti-colonialism, anti-government to wear a mask. So if you truly claim, if you're one of the people that claim to care about your immune-compromised friends, about being anti-ableist, anti-colonialism, anti-government, then wearing a mask is part of that. Thank you. That is all I have to say. We will be moving on. So, I don't know if I want to read the first play. I'm like, the play is still, I'm kind of like, because I felt so indifferent in reading it, but I did buy the audiobook for it, so I probably will read it. But I might just like read like an hour of it a day and move on to then my next library book. We shall see what my decision is in my next update, because that will tell you what I decided, because I'm still thinking about it. But I'm done reading for the day. That book has taken a lot out of me emotionally. It is heartbreaking and sickening to know like I knew before, but like having to like confront it in a book in this way, in such a like vivid and raw way, it definitely was, it takes a lot out of you. But yeah, again, I will just say real quickly, I don't like with the author. I don't know if I said this very clearly, so I'm gonna say it again. I just don't like the idea of like the way the author kind of like made it out like the vaccine was kind of like this magic pill thing that will just automatically make you immune to getting COVID. It kind of felt like that was the idea that she had, and I just don't like that was put in the narrative, because again, people have this misguided idea, and I think that was part of. Anyways, we're gonna be done. We're gonna be done. I did give it 5 stars. I also loved it for what it was doing, and I am definitely going to be reading more femgore horror. Like, seems to be like my thing. Like, I loved Their Eyes Are the Best Part, and there's another one that I think I just read too. So, and from Aardvark I got the from Aardvark I also got Hunger. So by so sorry, I don't have the author's name on my hand on top of my head, but that is another femgore horror, I believe. So I'm very much like into that kind of like feminist dealing with the racism that people from different identities experience, and it's right there. It hits as raw. It has to be like always this raw emotional, where the woman ends up taking revenge and do what needs to be done, and I'm just here for it. I'm here for it. So give me recommendations for any more femgore horror novels. And it was like perfect timing because I forget I'll put her username down below, but I just this past month watched a video from this person who gave other recommendations. So I will put a link either to the video or to the person's channel so you can go check them out, because it was perfect timing, because it feels like this is my bit of horror. Like, my love for horror is right here, and I feel like this is the thing that I am needing in my life right now, is more femgore horror novels, and it's giving me life. It's giving me everything I need at this moment. So anyways, recommendations I would appreciate, and if I remember, I will make sure that the link is down below for you.
There's sister.
Sunday, and I have a quick update. Right in the early morning, I tried to read Playground by Richard Powers, and it is so boring. It is so boring. Just get my hair morning here. I read I got to 25 pages, and I was falling asleep trying to read this. It's just so fucking boring. I'm so sorry to anybody that likes this book, but maybe I'm a little bit worried that I'm losing my reading steam. I'm just a little bit worried, but this book is just so boring. So I can't even figure out what's going on here. I just couldn't figure out. I know this is centered on the ocean and stuff, and you have these island, and something's supposed to go on. According to the synopsis, you have these 4 characters, and AI plays a part in this somewhere, and they're trying to try to find a way to we can inhabit the ocean, I believe, and I'm assuming this character that we don't get their name is just in first person, and it's told in italics. I think it's him and Mr. First in Line, and I don't know. And there's this whole thing where this other person was talking about how I don't know, because he's talking about it is it a dream, a recurring dream, where he remembers when his mom puts him in this really orange jacket, and it makes him get teased. So what he does is he throws the jacket away and pretends that someone beat him up and stole his jacket, and it this domino effect of the father and the mother gets into a fight, and the father beats the mother, and then they end up leaving, and so he blames himself, he thinks it's his fault, but I feel it would have happened. And I think as an adult he should recognize this, it would have happened one way or the other. At some point the father would have done this is at some point they would have divorced. Like it looked like if you look at what was going on in your life, like they were constantly fighting all the time even before this, and your father was probably violent even before that. Your mother was doing what was right, and then yet he calls it self-defense. I'm just here being like, what is this person's trauma speaking? Like, you're an adult. You should know it's not self-defense to beat someone for no reason. It's not self-defense just to beat somebody. You're just really getting into an argument with them, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just a little weird. And again, I'm emphasizing this because if you read this book, please tell me, like, did you enjoy it? Because I just found it so boring. Like, I got almost like 30 pages and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? I don't get why this even got onto the long list. Sorry. Like, it did not grip me. Like, the only part that gripped me was like the first page where like the first few pages where like he talks about, and I'm sorry, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, because I haven't had a chance to like look it up, but Ta'aroa, the god that like uses their eggshell, like they existed in the egg and then they got bored, so like, oh, let's, do some art. So they use their shell to like create the land, and then they use their tears to create the seas and the lakes and all that, and then they use their spine to create mountains and etc, etc. And so like just hearing like this creation story was really interesting, and I liked that part. But also this is a white author, so I'm kind of like confused about like how to feel about a white author basically talking about Polynesian, Tane, like culture. Like, I don't know how to feel about that per se. So like that's also was something that was like in my mind, because like many of these characters are, it's fine to have like characters that are like, if you're a white author, it's fine to write characters that are colored. I just don't know how I feel about someone who is white writing about someone else's culture, like actually culture, like in this way. But I don't know. Anyway, like that was the only interesting part, was like that little bit, and then I was expecting like probably like strong like writing on that, and then after that, like boring. Boring. So moving on. Oh, I think I didn't mention this, but this was part of the Booker Prize long list I was supposed to be reading, which, so DNF that one. And then I'm going to be starting Enlightenment now, and this by Sarah Perry. And so this one is about Thomas Hurt and Grace Macaulay, who have lived their lives in the small Essex town of Adelaide. So like they're separated in age by like 3 decades, so like the 30 years apart. But it's, well, these friends, they're just friends. Okay, so like apparently what happens is that their friendship gets kind of like destroyed for a time because of their romantic relationships. And so Thomas develops an obsession with a vanished 19th century astronomer to hold a nearby manor, and then Grace flees to London. And so over the course of 20 years, by coincidence and design, they find their lives brought back to get into orbit as the mystery of the vanished astronomer unfolds into a devastating tale of love and scientific pursuit. So hopefully this one will be a little bit better. Religion plays a part in this, and I hope that this is not going to be like pro-religion type shit, because that will probably end up DNFing me, making me DNF too, because fuck religion. It's just pro-colonialism, and it was used and continues to be used to oppress people. So I don't know. I've been in a mood for the past few days, or just like I'm just constantly like, I feel like Bateater just boiled, like resurfaced all my rage, and I'm trying to like temp it down, because I'm trying not to let that affect my reading. I need to be able to read. I want to read. So I could just feel it still like affecting me. So maybe I need to take a couple days, but I'm worried if I take a couple days. Whatever. This will be my next book. I'm gonna try to read 100 pages of this now. or tomorrow maybe. And yeah. Although I have been rereading, I think maybe I mentioned this in my last clip, I can't remember. But I am rereading with somebody else, The Hobbit, and I'm really enjoying that. So reading is still like going. It's still doing. Like I'm still enjoying reading, but it's just a reread. It's a reread. So I want to be able to read these new books, and also the Blade itself. I don't know if I'm gonna be reading that one. I told myself that I'm gonna try to read that tonight, before bed. Just like read as much as my brain will allow me at nighttime. Because since I have it as an audiobook now, I can just listen to it for as long as I can. So I'm gonna try and see, and hopefully that happens. Because sometimes after work, my brain just doesn't want to do anything else, anything that uses my brain. You know, so we shall see. But that being said, I will check in with you either later on today or tomorrow, depending on what I decide when it comes to what I decide to continue on with Enlightenment. I probably will just continue on with this tomorrow, but yeah, I think I think I'm gonna actually start this tomorrow, because I think maybe Bateater, like I said, has like taken my ability to read with an open mind, because it emotionally attacks me. So I think I just need to like relax. So I'm gonna hold off on continuing on with this one until tomorrow. And so yeah, I will update you tomorrow, and hopefully I have an update saying that I read some of the Blade itself too. Hi guys, say hi to my pixie. We're here for an update together. Oh, so as soon as I make a video, she wanted all my attention, but now since I start talking, she wants to leave. You want to leave me? Okay. Okay, anyways, so I'm here to talk about my reading so far today. So today is Monday. I'm planning to use The Blade itself as my work read, because since I am able to read it as an audiobook. So I'll come back if I actually give you an update on it when I actually do read it, if that actually comes to play. But I also tried Enlightenment by Sarah Perry, and I'm DNFing this also because the writing is just not for me. I think that like I'm kind of like indifferent to the writing, and if it hadn't been for like the religious undertones to this story, or overtones to the story, I would be able to like endure. But I just don't like the religious aspect of this. I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it. Christianity has been used historically and has continued to use to oppress people. And so I am not here for religious propaganda of any sort, and I feel kind of like this guy is constantly talking about going to church and all this stuff, and I'm just like, no, I'm not here for it. So it's kind of interesting considering that this title is called Enlightenment. But okay. Like, I don't know if like this book turns into like a criticism, because like, it's kind of like interesting, because it seems like Thomas doesn't really believe fully. He just kind of like goes maybe, but I don't know. And I don't have the patience to endure this book. So if you can tell me if this book is a criticism of religion, like if it is a criticism of religion, on some level, I will go back to it at some point. But for now, I didn't have the patience to endure it, because the writing itself was just not to my taste at this point, and I just think I just don't have the patience. I have to be like hooked. But the other book that I started is Crooked Plow by Itamar Vieira Jr., and is translated by Johnny Lawrence. So I think I might have talked to you already about what both of these books were in the previous clip, but I'm going to retell what the synopsis is, because it plays a part in my thoughts here. So the synopsis tells it like that deep in the neglected hinterland of Bahia, Brazil, two sisters find a mysterious knife beneath their grandmother's bed. Momentarily mystified by its power, they decide to taste its metal. The shuddering violence that follows marks their lives and binds them together forever. Now, my assumption on this was that it actually had power, and that it caused something to happen, and it like creates this violent aftermath of it. But in reading in reading this, it is not what I was expecting at all. Like, they were just being children. Like, they saw this shiny thing and they're like, ooh, let's put this shiny thing in our mouth. And and you can imagine what happened. So I don't know if it's spoilery, but like, it causes a damage to them to the point that one of them becomes mute because of this. And what's interesting about the way that the story is told so far is the fact that we don't know which one of the sisters is mute. We know that the story is being told through the perspective of the older sister, at least for the moment. That's my guess. Like, I can't, like, yeah, it has to be the older sister. Like, I feel a little bit confused about who is who in, like, age-wise and, like, who's being telling the story a little bit. But, like, I do believe that right now it's Bateater that is telling the story. And I believe that she may be the one that's mute. But, again, there's not, like, a clear, like, sense of, like, of who is. And I know it is very, very intentional that. And the quote that I have here is, "That's how I became a part of Bateater, just as she became a part of me. And so the years went by, and we felt like Siamese twins, sharing the same tongue to make the words that revealed what we needed to become." So I definitely feel like, you know, it's trying to, like, give you that sense of them being, like, one, and that's kind of, like, why I feel on some level that we're, like, confused about who is who, because we're on some level, like, and, like, this, like, of, like, why we're not being told who is mute and who's not, because we're supposed to have, like, this sense of, like, them being almost at one, while at the same time having a clear distinction of who they are. So I feel like it's definitely a very purposeful way of telling the story. But the one thing about this that I'm a little bit not okay with is the fact that even though the cover, like, definitely gives you, like, children novel vibes, this was in the adult section, so I assumed it was an adult novel, and I was kind of expecting it to, like, even if it was going to be told, like, in a child's perspective, to be written in an adult voice, almost, like, you know what I mean, like, because, like, it is told, like, sort of, sort of, in the children's perspective, like, we kind of have this idea of, like, in the moment this is happening, so obviously they're gonna have, like, a child's voice, but at other times, it sounds like we're getting, I'm sorry, like, we don't get her name, so, like, Bateater, so we get Bateater as an older person reflecting back, so it's kind of like this kind of, like, muddled shift in a way, like, I'm very confused about how I feel about the way that the story is being told. I get, like, it's purposeful in a way, and I don't know if maybe it's the translation on some level, like, maybe that is affecting it too, so I don't know, but this is, like, told during slavery time, and I had the idea that it was after, or maybe it is, but it's, like, right, like, after, so they're still having this idea that they're not free to, like, and they don't expect to get paid, even though they should be expecting to get paid, kind of a thing, like, I don't know. And I don't really know what Brazil's politics and how that all played out, because, like, we hear so much about the U.S. slavery system, but, like, I didn't even know that Brazil played a part in enslavement. So, so that's something that I definitely need to look up. And if you have any books recommendations, I would love them that talk about that aspect of history, because that's a part of history that I do not know anything about, that I did not know. So, yeah, so those are my current thoughts right now. I will be starting another book tomorrow to replace The Sixth Serpent, so I will talk about what that book is then. But again, I will update you when I have an update. Hey guys, today today is Tuesday, and I'm here to give you my last update for Quick and Plow because, yes, I have denounced this. I don't know if this is a sign of where my reading is, if I'm like losing my reading steam. It does kind of feel like that because it's like this is my third book in a row that I have DNF'd. But that being said, I did like how the narrative was being told at the beginning with us not knowing who was the muted one versus one who's able to speak when it comes to the two sisters and everything. But as I continue on reading the book, the story is like being told rather than shown, and it started to lose like interesting, like it lost the interesting aspect of it. And I found the way that it was being written a little too all over the place. Like there's like this moment where I like close to where I decided to date enough, where they're literally talking about building a school, and then all of a sudden it switches to talking about a drought, and it just was like, and where was the transition? I don't know. It was just it's just like it lacks focus, and it kind of goes from one thing to the next, and it's just you're just being told things. And like I appreciate the discussion around encantados and the spirits and things like that. Like that was interesting in itself, but that is not the focus of the story, really, it seems like. And it's just, I don't know, I'm sorry, this is boring to me, and I'm not someone who is interested in like stories that tell rather than show. It has to be like done really well for me to endure it. And I may have been able to endure this when my reading headspace was like I just really wanted to read, kind of like reread all the time, and I was just more lenient towards that. Like maybe I would have finished this if it was then, but for now, like I just don't have the patience. So sadly, this is a DNF. I will be moving on to the Hollow and the Haunted. Hopefully this one is better. Hey guys, so I just wanted to quickly, before I get ready to go work, I just wanted to give you a quick update because I forgot to do that when I was in my last clip of the blade itself. I did read like 30 some pages in the audiobooks of that, so I just wanted to say that I'm 160 some pages in, and I just don't have a grasp on this world. I feel like at this point I should have like an understanding of like the plot, where the story is going on some level, but like they're so disconnected, and there's like so many different little things happening. Like we have like a murder mystery, like a serial murder mystery going on. We have like possible war between the North and the Union, and then we got like Logan caught up with this Magus, and like all these like little different things are happening, and they're so separate. But I don't understand the politics. I don't know what's going on between the North and the Union. Like I have no clue why they're at arms with one another, why they want to go to war with one another. I have no understanding about it, and I feel like at this point I should have some beginning of understanding. Like I get it's fantasy and world building and all this stuff, but at this point there should be something established. I should at least have like a clear understanding of like each of these characters on some level. And even though I like Glauca and I like Logan, I don't understand the point of their perspectives. Like Giselle could get fucked. Like I don't care about him, and I don't really understand his perspective either. Like, anyways, it's just like they're just so disconnected. And in reading some reviews, it seems like even at the end, like some people don't still have an understanding of things, and I'm just here being like, I don't know if I want to read a book where in a book's trilogy where like it's just so disconnected, and that it takes like all 3 books for you to have an understanding. I don't want to be confused in that far. I want to at least be able to know what the point of the book is by the 50 to 100 pages in. Like I should have an understanding of things. And I don't know why, but it makes me think of Game of Thrones, because like whereas with this one I'm like confused. Game of Thrones, like each of the chapters are like separate chapters, like you have from different characters and everything, and so like there's that. But you have an understanding of how these characters are all connected and what's the driving force in the book. Like, you know the politics, you have an understanding of the politics, you know what the motivations are for each of these people, when it comes to what the decisions they're making and stuff like that. You have an understanding of what it is. The plot is very clear to you. The narrative makes it very clear to you, everything. And I like that. I like to have some understanding of things. I don't need all the answers right away, but I need to have a clear understanding, especially when I'm like almost 200 pages into a book, and I was like feeling like I must be stupid or something, because like I'm like, I should, why am I not understanding? Like, I feel so lost. Every time I would listen to it, I would feel so lost as to like, what am I reading? Like, I don't know. But clearly I'm not the only one that is like has had issues with like trying to understand the world building, and things like that. Like, I guess like if you're just going into it blindly and you just like read, eventually you're going to like get a grasp of it. So I'm going to finish this book because I literally bought the audio. I used one of my credits for this, and I'm going to, but as I think I mentioned in my yesterday's clips, I'm listening to it as work read, so that will just be what it's going to be, and we'll see how long it takes for me to finish this. But I will, at the end of today, give you a wrap-up of everything. I just want to make sure that where I end feeling emotionally wise about everything before I like close off the video, and my decisions on like if I'm going to continue on making videos or not, because I feel like as soon as I started making videos, I know this is probably wrong, but like as soon as I started making videos, it like my reading seemed to die out. I don't know, so I'm trying to switch up how I read. So I'm trying to like be like, let's just read like an hour in the morning and at night and see if that helps to like bring up the juices. I will say that maybe it's just bad choices in books, because like I did like read like a little section of this and I'm already like enjoying it. So like I think I'm gonna like this. And I will say that even though I don't really understand the world building, I do like the writing. Like, I think that Joe Abercrombie's writing style is good. I just don't know if I like his way of world building. Anyways, I will see you in the next clip. Hey guys, so I'm here to give you my final updates and wrap up this weekly vlog. So this week, let me get back to where I was. Look at that. Alright, girl. This week I finished 2 books, which were Bateater and The Hobbit. The Hobbit was a buddy read, and it also was a reread for me. I really enjoy The Hobbit, but it was interesting reading it this time because there was a lot of comparing to the film going on, and I will say that in reading it this time, it made me dislike the films even more. But what I will say is I will always stand on the fact that he was right. Like, did he have to include it? Maybe not, because it wasn't exactly something that was explicitly told in the plot of The Hobbit. But he does mention multiple times, even, about the Necromancer and what he was doing. Like, he alluded to it, he talks about it, and in Lord of the Rings, he does go into magnificent detail about it. So, it's not like it didn't happen. Unlike the whole stupid bullshit romance between Feely and what's her name. Okay, anyways, the book gets 4.5 stars. I really enjoy it. I don't know, I'm pretty sure everybody knows this, but he specifically wrote The Hobbit for his children, and I don't know if that actually was like spurred him into like his whole world building of Middle Earth, and when it comes to like all the other books, not just Lord of the Rings. Like, I don't know if that was the spur to it or if that was just a part of it. But yeah, he wrote that specific one for his children or grandchildren. But either way, those were the 2 books I ended up finishing this week. Bateater got 5 stars also. But I also DNF'd 2 books this week. The first was Playground, and this one and the next one that I DNF'd were part of the Booker Prize long list catch-up that I am trying to do from last year. And I don't know if this is a sign that maybe I am not in the mood for a lit fic right now, or it was just the fact that Bateater took so much of me out emotionally that it was just really bad timing for me to be picking up those two books at that time. But that being said, Playground was just boring. Like, I don't really have anything like super negative to say about it, and I'm not rating this book or anything, obviously, because like I didn't read it. But I think I heard someone say that you shouldn't talk about the books that you DNF, like you shouldn't review them. But like, even if you're just talking about explaining why you DNF it, like you can talk about why you DNF a book. Okay, it's just important to talk about why you DNF a book as much as like your full actual like review book, because people have reasons for why they DNF a book, and if that's a reason, and people will hear that and know like, oh, the reason they DNF that's something that I actually would like, so they'll go and pick that book up. Are there similar tastes in that way, and they will not pick it up, and that will, you know, stop them from wasting their time on a book that they will not like because they have a knowledge. I find it so silly that people think that people shouldn't talk about the books they DNF. Like, obviously it's not like a proper review, and people know that, but you should be able to talk about why you DNF a book. Okay, anyways, but I just found boring. I don't think I will pick that book up anyways. I saw a review where someone said that it read kind of like academic, and I kind of agree to that. And the other book that I DNF'd again was part of the Booker Prize catch-up that I was trying to do. I am trying to do it. But maybe the fact that I keep saying was is a sign. But either way, that one is Alignment by Sarah Perry. I didn't realize this, but I actually own another book by her, and that's the Essex Serpent. And apparently these two books are connected in some way. So if you know what that connection is, please let me know. Like, is it just like the town, the setting, or whatever? Because like if that's the case, then I don't think it's like the biggest like, oh, you should read the next book or other book before or anything like that. But either way, like, I did not like the religious undertones, whatever you want to call it, in this book from the get-go, and I'm just not here for that right now, especially as we're literally living in a Christo-fascist state right now. I'm not here for that. I don't need to hear pro-religion, pro-Christianity with that when it comes to that right now, but also because Christianity, religion has been used to oppress and continues to be used to oppress people, so that's just how I feel about it right now. You know, believe what you want, but I'm not here for, you know, institutional religion at this point. And I don't have the ability to deal with a book that feels pro-religion in that way. And also, I just was not enjoying the writing style in this book. You know, it is what it is. Then on to the books that I am currently reading. I am reading two books as I'm about to read. One is Pride and Prejudice, and we are so close to being done with that book. But I didn't realize, probably because it's been a long time since I read the book the first time, but also because my only like reference to it, other than because of how long it's been since I read the book, is the Keira Knightley version of the book. So I always thought that like Wickham and Lydia get married and then we don't see him again, but apparently like they end up like staying there for a nice time, and the fact that I don't know if that's just the way it was, but the fact that he calls her sister like irks me. Like, it really irks me. And also the mother, I don't remember like disliking the mother so much, but I really can't stand her in this read either. Like, your daughter literally like could have like risked not only her chances but all of her other sisters' chances at marriage, and you can't even take it seriously. Like, you don't seem to care what your daughter actually did. Anyways, but overall, I do really like the book overall, and it will get a 5 stars, I'm sure, by the time we get done with this. Again, then the other book that I am reading is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. I read a pretty good chunk of this. This does not tell you where I'm at because I need to like figure out where that is. But Giselle, he can still kick rocks. Like, I cannot stand him. Like, Okay, I like the fact that Artie, like basically tells him off. Oh, she was drunk. So if she wasn't drunk, I don't think she would have said this, but like said it, but like she did. And then he's like, how dare she say this to me? And he's such a little spoiled fucking brat. Anyways, I don't like Giselle. I don't really see the point of his perspective at all. Other than like he gives you like, because he's higher up maybe, but like we have Glogda's perspective. We have Major West's perspective at once in a while. Like, and he was, I think, was he in there? No, actually he wasn't. So I guess in that situation, like we really wanted to like see, but like he put other people's perspective that are not the main three. So like we could have had their perspectives. I just don't know why we need to have Giselle as a main character who doesn't add anything other than to fucking annoy me. And I will say that, okay, I did say that I wasn't really sure if I was going to enjoy this book because I don't really like see the connections, and I still don't. I really don't. I don't understand the world building here in like the sense of like how these people are supposed to like connect and stuff like this. And again, I think I compared this earlier to Game of Thrones in the sense of like they each have like, I mean, and Martin did it even like in a bigger, expansive way because he had so many characters, you know, throughout the books. Like, yet you felt a cohesion in the story. You know what I mean? Like, you can feel that cohesion. You can understand what the core backbone of the book was. I don't see it in this one. I don't see it. Like, if you're just reading this as each character's own story, and they just happen to exist in the same world, where one part of the world is going to be possibly having a war with the other part of the world. Like, I get like with Glada's perspective, the Inquisitors are basically trying to consolidate power because they know they have an idea what's going to happen between the North and them. But I still don't understand, like, who's the North, who's the South, is it out? Are they the South? Like, I don't even know. Like, I can't place anything. So I'm just a little bit frustrated with that. But I do enjoy Logan and Glocka's perspectives, and if it was just them and maybe like Major West's perspective, I would be okay. I would be happy and enjoy this book 100%. But I don't understand the point of Giselle at all. I don't really know why we suddenly got the perspective of these other guys that miraculously survived. Like, I don't know why. It just feels like just a random bunch of people that just happen to exist in the same world. You know what I mean? Like, anyways, that is just how I'm feeling. I am, like, it's one of those things where you enjoy it when you're reading the moment, but like when you step back from it, you realize that nothing really made much sense to you in the sense of like world building and cohesive plot wise situation. Like, you know what I mean? So there's that. And then the two books that I will be starting. The first one is Maisie Dobbs by Jacqueline Winspear. I know I said that it was going to be the Hollow and the Haunted, but I'm not in the mood for YA teenage angst type stuff. Like, this one, I think it would be actually probably hard hitting in some ways because it's this young boy this teenager who is closeted and is afraid of what his parents might react, I believe, to if he ever came out. So, like, and then like he's basically like being forced to like work in his family's business. Like, he doesn't really want to work, but like, so there's a lot of things that are there, but I'm just like, I'm not here for that whole teenage angst where like this teenager hates this teenager and blah blah blah, and I'm like, you know, like, I'm just not in the mood for that. But I read like a page of this and I'm like, I really was enjoying the writing style, and I think that if I continue on I will actually enjoy it. So this is, as I said, I think I said this, is the first book in the Maisie Dobbs series. So the first book is the title and also the name of the series. So Maisie Dobbs got her start as a maid, and then she worked for a suffragette named Lady Rowan Compton, and she becomes Maisie's patron. And I think, if this sentences make sense to me, that she helps her start her business as a private investigator. So when we started this book, it's basically you seeing her setting up her business, I think. So and this book obviously deals with like her probably her first few cases, and like the one major case that will probably be like what, you know. So like this book, I think, deals with a lot of the aftermath of World War I and the effects of war on soldiers. Because here's this: in the aftermath of the Great War, a former officer has founded a working farm known as the Retreat. That was a convalescent refuge for ex-soldiers to shelter to resume normal life. When fate brings Maisie a second case involving the Retreat, she must finally confront the ghost that has haunted her for over a decade. So I definitely think that this is a lot of dealing with the impacts of war on people in that way. But there is that. Then I will also be rereading rereading Renovation of Love. This is the first book in the Love on Madison Island trilogy. I love the series so very much, and I think it was about time that I did a review, because I think that I need something that is a comfort and that will hopefully keep me wanting to read still. So if you do not know what this book one is about, Renovation of Love is about, and I don't remember the names right off the bat, so I will let you know when I get back, when I actually start reading the book again. But it's about this woman who, like, it's obviously set on an island. So like she left this island when she was quite, like, she was adult, but like, you know, she left when she was quite young, and she kind of like broke someone's heart, and now she's back. I think it's been like a couple of years since her aunt died, and she left her end, and now she's there. She realizes that the end has kind of fallen apart, and she needs to like renovate, because she obviously wants to like get it back into running order, and she wants to decide like how she wants to like you know, deal with all that. But in order to do that, the only like really good comforter is the person that she like broke the heart of, and so like there's a lot of unresolved emotions and issues, and I do remember finding like the way that she acts towards him a little bit like seriously, like just because he moved on does not mean that he forgave. Like, it doesn't mean that he's not gonna be, you know, have some feelings. Like, whatever your reasons for what you did, he doesn't know you those reasons. You just left him, and you just left him in the lurch without telling him why you left. You didn't even give him the chance to like prove you wrong or right. You know. Anyways, I don't want to say what it is, because that would be a spoiler. But to like the main conflict but not conflict. It's very interesting, because like I think she's like 40 years old. So this is like, and I think this is something. Well, obviously this is something that she does with all three books. Like all of these three women are middle-aged, have their lives established, and we see their romances in different ways. And the second one is Heat and Love, and then the third one is Something in Love. Like, and the third one is the one that I think I was the only one that I gave like actual 5 stars to. But yeah, that one was a little bit more intense, because there's a whole situation with, and I will talk about them. Anyways, I'm rambling here. But those are all the books that I have read, DNF'd, and I'm currently starting to read. I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of the books that I've talked about. I will not hear any arguments about anything when it comes to what I had to say when it comes to the Bateater aspect, because I don't know like how much I went into my thoughts when it comes to the pandemic. But I will not hear any arguments, because you can say whatever you want to say, and my thing will be like, so what? Wearing a mask doesn't take anything from you, and it doesn't stop you from living your life. Actually, it helps you to live your life better, because you know why? Because you're not getting sick, and you have the conscious, free knowledge of knowing that you're not causing other people harm along the way. And that's all. But again, I would love to hear your thoughts on anything else other than that, especially on the blade itself, because I would like to know what you thought of it, especially when it comes to the world building. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next vlog.